we already have a very large hypoxia zone in the Gulf of Mexico. A hypoxia zone is an area with low oxygen concentration. Now the media calls these areas dead zones because it is true that if there's no oxygen in the water at all the fish and sea life will smother and die. The mobile sea life, however, can move out of a hypoxic zone. And the hypoxic zone is typically west of the Mississippi River. So typically in the summertime when the hypoxic zone sets up, those organisms like the shrimp, the crabs, fish, they're moving east because that area is typically not hypoxic. This year, they're swimming right into another hypoxic zone created by the oil spill. The hypoxia is caused by nutrients flowing to the sea. Now the nutrients, of course, are derived from land, and they come from primarily three places. They certainly can come from agricultural runoff, but they also come from cities. You know, we do have sewer systems, and when you flush your toilet, that water gets cleaned, but it has a high nitrogen load, and that gets dumped directly in the Mississippi River. And so there's a large load of nitrogen coming from cities as well. We also fertilize our lawns, and during storms, that also flows off into the creeks and streams and eventually winds up in the Gulf. You know, at the end of the day, everything has to obey the laws of gravity, and the lowest point in the system is going to be the continental shelf of the Gulf of Mexico. So everything we do on land surrounding the Gulf is going to have an effect on the Gulf of Mexico. We've noticed that the incidence of low hypoxia in Texas bays has increased nearly every year. The last few years we're seeing hypoxia in bays like Matagorda Bay, where we had never seen it in the 90s even. The other thing that we're discovering is that we're starting to see hypoxia areas offshore as a result of river water from the Colorado, the Brazos, and the few rivers that do empty directly into the Gulf. The other thing we see, of course, is in very, very high flow years, we can see Mississippi water bend around the Texas coast and reach as far south as Port Aransas. I think one of the biggest and most discerning questions is, what is the tipping point? We have known for years that the Gulf of Mexico has been suffering malaise. This is exactly why back in 2006, all of the state governors formed the Gulf of Mexico Alliance Plan, an action plan to try and improve the water quality and the natural resources in the Gulf of Mexico. We've made a lot of progress since 2006, but add on top of that the effects of our storms, Katrina, Rita, Ike. Add on top of this now the troubling oil spill, which we know will have effects for decades to come just by itself. What most of us scientists are really concerned about is, have we reached the tipping point? Have we reached the point of no return? We just don't know, and it's not alarmism. We have a system that's under multiple stresses. It's like that punching bag. It just keeps getting knocked down and down and down. At some point, it's not going to come back up.